Hi, this is Algebra 1, Lesson 83. We're going to talk about coin problems, and we're going to start on page 342. We're going to solve more series of equations about coins, but in this lesson you're going to be generating the equations from word problems. I heard that groan. You can do this, really. We're going to start by reading the word problems and finding statements about quantities that are equal. Each word problem about coins will have statements about the number of coins and about the value of the coins. So if a problem says the number of nickels plus the number of dimes is 40, then we can write number of nickels plus number of dimes equals 40, right? If it says there were 6 more nickels than dimes, then we can say the number of nickels equals 6 plus the number of dimes. Or we can say that the number of dimes equals the number of nickels minus 6. Either way would be correct. If we say the value of the nickels plus the value of the dimes is $4.65, then let's figure out how to write this. The value of the nickels is 5 cents times the number of nickels, right? If we have 1 nickel, it's 5 cents times 1 nickel. If we have 2 nickels, it's 5 cents times 2 nickels, right? So in this case, we have some nickels. We don't know how many. So we're going to say 5 times the number of nickels. That's the value of the nickels we have. The value of a dime is 10 cents. So the value of all of the dimes is 10 times the number of dimes. And in this case, the number of dimes plus the number of nickels, the values of those, is going to equal $4.65. You notice I didn't put 0.05 or 0.10. As long as we're doing just coins, let's put everything in cents. So this will be 465 cents. And that way we don't have to play with decimals. So now we have 5 cents times the number of nickels plus 10 cents times the number of dimes equals 465 cents. If it says the value of the dimes and quarters equals $25.10, we can say that 10 cents times the number of dimes plus 25 cents times the number of quarters equals 25.10. Okay? So, let's try an example. Jack and Betty have 28 coins that are nickels and dimes. If the value of the coins is $1.95, how many of each type of coin do they have? So we know that they have nickels and dimes and that they have 28 total coins. So we can say that the number of nickels plus the number of dimes equals 28 coins, right? So we start with quantity. Okay, so now let's talk about value. The value of the coins is $1.95. So the value of the value of the coins is $1.95. So the value of the nickels plus the value of the dimes is going to equal $1.95. Okay, so 5 cents times the number of nickels plus 10 cents times the number of dimes equals 195 cents, right? Now what we really want to know is how many of each coin do we have. So we can solve these equations for the number of dimes and the number of quarters. And we can either use elimination or substitution. In this case, let's use elimination. And so let's multiply this top equation by -10 so that the number of dimes is eliminated and we can solve for the number of nickels to start with. So if we have, and I'm going to multiply it times -10 so that these cancel. So -10 times the number of nickels minus 10 times the number of dimes equals -280. And then we're going to put this one right back underneath it. And we're going to add. So we have -5 times the number of nickels. The number of dimes cancel, and we have -85. Right? Now we're going to divide both sides by -5. That cancels, and the number of nickels equals 17. Now that we know how many nickels there are, we can solve for the number of dimes. After I get all my papers in order over here. Okay, so if the number of nickels plus the number of dimes equals 28, and the number of nickels is 17, then the number of, I keep doing that, the number of dimes is going to equal 28 minus 17, right? Which equals 11. So the number of number of nickels is 17, the number of dimes is 11. We can check this by plugging it into the other problem. So that would say that 5 times 17 plus 10 times 11 equals 195. I should have written this a little smaller. And that says 85 plus 110 equals 195. And 85 plus 110 does equal 195. So that is true. Okay, so that is the number of dimes and the number of nickels. Let's try another one. Ming has $4.45 in quarters and dimes. She has 8 more quarters than dimes. How many coins of each type does she have? So we can start with value or quantity. It doesn't matter. If we start with quantity, we have quarters and dimes, and there are 8 more quarters than dimes. So we can say that the number of quarters equals the number of dimes plus 8, right? Okay, we have, for our money value, we have $4.45. So 25 times the number of quarters plus 10 times the number of dimes equals 445. Right? Okay, now we can solve for number of quarters and number of dimes by either using substitution or elimination. We already have this one solved for the number of quarters, so I'm going to go ahead and substitute number of dimes plus 8 into here where it says number of quarters. So we'll have 25 times the number of dimes plus 8 plus 10 times the number of dimes equals 445. Okay, now we have 25 times the number of dimes plus 25 times 8 is 200 plus 10 times the number of dimes equals 445. Okay, let's clean this up. We have 35 times the number of dimes. If we subtract 200 from both sides, then 35 times the number of dimes equals 245. Right? And now we can divide by 35 to solve for the number of dimes. And our number of dimes is going to be 7. Okay, now we can substitute that number back into this equation. So the number of quarters equals the number of dimes plus 8, so that would be 7 plus 8, which equals 15. And now we're going to check this by substituting both of these values into the other equation. So we have 25 times the number of quarters plus 10 times the number of dimes equals 445. And then we punch this into a calculator. So this would be 375 plus 70 equals 445. And that is true. So these are the number of quarters and the number of dimes. Okay, here's another one. Orlando had a hoard of 22 nickels and dimes. Woohoo! Whose value was $1.35. He's rich, and he's probably about 3. How many coins of each type did he have? Okay, so his number of nickels plus the number of dimes equaled 22, and the value was $1.35. So 5 times the number of nickels plus 10 times the number of dimes equals 135. Right, now we're going to solve this with either substitution or elimination. Multiplying times 10 is so convenient that I'm going to go ahead and multiply the top equation by negative 10 again. So we have negative 10 times the number of nickels minus 10 times the number of dimes equals negative 220. Don't forget to multiply this side by negative 10 also. And then we're going to put the other equation back underneath this. And we're going to solve for the number of nickels. So these cancel. We have negative 5 number of nickels equals negative 85 again. Divide by 5. I had to look, but we just did negative 85. Never mind. Okay, number of nickels equals 17. So we have 17 nickels. If we have 17 nickels, then we have a grand total of 5 dimes, because 17 plus 5 is 22. Right? And then we can substitute these two into this equation to check. So we have 5 times the number of nickels plus 10 times the number of dimes, which should equal 135. 5 times 17 is 85 plus 50, which does indeed equal 135. So this is our correct answer. Okay, that wasn't that hard. I'm pretty sure you can do this. Try the practice problems, do your homework, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.